if you spent, like, if you're not fishing in the back, like, or don't have any. Oh, I got it.
got this stupid fish.
I wasn't sure if I had him or not. He's right there. You did that to me earlier, so this is payback. Right there, stole that from Mr. H. Well, he did that to me earlier, so I guess that's payback.
Hey guys, so that last video was from my latest video, or last video. So if you haven't watched that, make sure you go ahead and check that out. I will leave a link in the description below. It's 83 degrees. So right now it's pretty hot in Florida for the winter. And so the bass down here have already started spawning. So, and that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to be doing tips and techniques that I like to do to catch fish during this while I'm out of breath. Alright, if you're not from Florida or not familiar with the bass in Florida, they tend to be pretty, they tend to be pretty finicky when it comes to weather. And so, like when a cold front comes down in Florida, or the temperature drops off, or something happens, one of my favorite things to throw is So one of my favorite things to throw is a Gambler burner craw. So I'm throwing this on the burner craw on a 1.5 ounce tungsten weight on 65-pound braid. And what I use this for is punching through that heavier cover, like in the last video, like those hydrilla mats or hyson mats or any type of thicker cover that we get down here in Florida. And so what the rod that I have this on is a 7-Eleven heavy Garcia Veritas with a Revo rocket with the Kuma power handles on. And so this is a rod I use to get the fish out of the heavy cover whenever I'm doing that type of stuff. Yeah, it's hot. Next thing I want to talk about is, this is also in the last video, but it can be kind of weather sensitive. So next thing I want to talk about is frogs. So frog fishing is one of my favorite ways to fish, especially when the fish start spawning. They can get pretty aggressive, and so what I like to do is can either be like a popping frog like this, which I was using last video, or like a walking frog like this. Some of the differences between these is this one spits water when you walk it, and it doesn't walk as well, or you can't typically walk it as well. And with this, you can walk it a lot better and keep it in the strike zone for a lot longer time. Like these are the same frog, but I trim the skirt on them, which this one right here will walk tighter than this one. This one walks tighter than this one, which means I can keep this one in the strike zone for longer, which like I could pause it over a bed and just keep walking it right there. That's one of my favorite ways to fish, and you'll get some really cool strikes. So what I throw a frog on is a 7.6 medium heavy Garcia Vendetta, and with a Silver Max and a 65-pound weight. Alright, also I am not sponsored by any of these products. This is not like a paid promotion or anything. So I will tell you if these products suck, and yeah. Next thing I want to talk about is when I'm like flipping sparser cover, not as thick stuff, or I have an idea of where they're spawning, but like whenever I'm fishing sparser cover, one of my favorite things to throw again is a Gambler burner craw on a 1/2 ounce tungsten weight. And what I use this for is just like flipping the sparser cover, or like Kissimmee grass where they'll have holes in it and I think they're spawning. And so what I'm throwing this on is a Gloomis E6X with a Shimano Curado 70. And the thing about the Curado 70 is it's a lot smaller reel. It doesn't have as much line capacity, so I wouldn't recommend buying this if you're gonna be doing a lot of casting with it. I would buy it for like close range fishing or not a lot of casting. Alright, last but not least, I want to talk about rattle traps. Alright, so right here I have what is now the Booya, not Excalibur anymore. It's the Booya One Knocker and Flashy Mama. And this is my favorite rattle trap to throw in any time of the year. And so like during this time of the year, you'll have the fish tend to be feeding heavily. And they'll be chasing bait a lot and schooling. And so this is one of my favorite baits to throw during this time of the year. And you can, if you get on a school, you'll catch a ton of fish on this, but typically schooling fish don't tend to be extremely big. Also, another color I like to throw that I've caught some pretty good fish on is, I'm not sure the specific name, but this little, this pink color right here, which I've caught some pretty nice fish on. But the rod I throw rattle traps on is a 7-foot medium heavy rod. And so when I'm throwing rattle traps, I want a lot of like tip on my rod. That way when a fish grabs it, I don't completely rip it out of their mouth. That way the rod will bend and give them time to take it. And so we got the Silver Max with 15-pound mono. Alright, so last but not least, I want to talk about what I do when I'm like sight fishing for beds specifically. So one of my favorite baits to throw when I'm like specifically fishing beds is just any type of Stik-O. This one right here is a SPRO Stik-O. I also like to throw Gambler Fat Aces, but these are my two favorite, mainly because the plastic they're made of, it really tends to hold together better than a lot of other brands. So Stik-O is one of my favorite bed fishing baits when I'm sight fishing. And so a lot of times when you're bed fishing, a lot of times when you're bed fishing, the fish will be guarding a specific part of the bed, and so a lot of times you have to figure that out. So the lack of action this seems to have in the water seems to drive the fish crazy. So what I throw this on is a 7.6 Team Iowa heavy rod. And so I have a Lews speed spool on here with 15-pound mono. And so yeah, that is the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't checked out my last video, make sure you check it out. I will leave a link in the description below, and also everything that was in this video I will link down below. So if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them, so make sure you leave them in the comment section below, and I'll try to improve my videos. And so yeah.